there are two coaching decisions that even when you make a decision, it could still result in a win when you don't, when you probably should not get the win, is the way that I'll say that. And I saw a decision made yesterday from Brandon Staley, which I'm kind of numb to, and I'm not surprised that Brandon Staley did this, but back-to-back weeks, Brandon Staley continues to show that he just doesn't get it. And you could save me your analytical rant, and you could tell me what the numbers say. It makes no sense 2 weeks ago up against the Vikings, and that was in a 4-point game, when he elected to go for it on 4th and 1 at his own 24-yard line. And he got bailed out by Kirk Cousins, who threw an interception because the Vikings can't get out of their own way. So then this week, with a little under 4 minutes to go against Stu's Raiders, it is 4th and 1 at the 34. Now, you would think that last week you went for it, you got lucky to escape with the victory, you would adapt, you would learn, you would change. But no, not Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley goes for it on 4th and 1, and then you had one bad coaching decision, which should have backfired and resulted in him, maybe not losing the game, but at worst case, the game going to overtime or it being tied up. And then Josh McDaniels gets a first down all the way down to the 3. You have Josh Jacobs, who last year had the most rushing yards in the NFL. And on 1st and goal from the 3, they throw the ball. Aiden O'Connell gets intercepted. Turn out the lights, the fat lady singing, and the party's over. It is amazing to me how Brandon Staley the last 2 weeks got bailed out by Kirk Cousins, Kevin O'Connell, Aiden O'Connell, and Josh McDaniels. Brandon Staley should just genuflect and should just bow down to the 4 of those people, because that's the only reason, those 4 people and their incompetence, why you won the last 2 weeks. Because Brandon Staley, if you didn't get lucky, and sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good, right? My uncle has lectured me that all the time. Sometimes in sports, you'd rather just be lucky than good. But Brandon Staley's got to be the luckiest person on the planet. He should have lost both those games. And he got bailed out because of quarterbacks that just aren't clutch or not ready for the moment. And I want to say I couldn't believe it, but this is what Brandon Staley does. And that's the one thing. I guess you could say at least he's consistent, right? He's going to be loyal and true to himself, but he will eventually get fired. I don't care that he's won the last 2 games. I know this team going into the bye is all banged up and, right, their season has not capsized yet. But the Chargers this year in an AFC that's open, right? We talked about it in the open. The Bengals are extremely vulnerable. Their season's on life support. The Chiefs offense hasn't hummed yet. The Bills dominant yesterday. The Dolphins did take a step back, but they're still going to be in the mix. We'll see at the end of the year where the Ravens and the Jaguars are at. But this AFC is open. This AFC is for the taking. And you look at the talent that the Chargers have, it's just inconceivable to me. And I know the Spanos family is cheap, that week in and week out, they look at this coach and they go, oh, this is boy wonder. Oh, this is the genius of Brandon Staley. To make the same decision in back-to-back weeks and get bailed out, it's almost as if the NFL is scripted. And I know that's been a big joke. Oh, the NFL is scripted, blah, 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 blah. But it was so infuriating the last 2 weeks. And I'm almost at a point where I can't even yell about it anymore. Like, all the emotions in my body just go, what the heck does this guy continue to do? And why is he so frustrating? And why does he just not get it? And the worst thing is you get all these people, all these nerds that tweet me, oh, you clearly don't get the numbers, blah, 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 blah. Let me be clear. I'm not anti-analytics, but I don't live and die by the numbers. I've watched football long enough. I know when you're up by more than a field goal and you're in the final 4 or 5 minutes of the game and you're not going up against Tom Brady, you're not going up against Peyton Manning, you're not going up against Patrick Mahomes, who you know are going to march down the field. You were going up against Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell. All right? Or Aiden O'Connell. Whatever O'Connell it is. Who cares? No one even knows the name of the quarterback. And you going up against those 2 guys with the lead by 4 points and 7 points. And you basically said, here's a gift. Christmas came early. here's a gift. Go score a touchdown. And both those guys were like little babies, like, wah, I don't like the gift. I want something else. It's amazing how they won the last 2 weeks. So let me ask this to you, Stu, before I get to Ron Rivera. You have to be so upset. And there's many reasons to be upset because you're a Raiders fan. And my condolences. Your team's just a dumpster fire.
Yeah, they're awful.
It's actually insulting to dumpster fires to call them a dumpster fire, the Raiders.
This is true. Very true.
But your team is just going nowhere. I kind of think McDaniels is going to be back next year because they had to pay Gruden all that money. And Mark Davis is going to say, let's give him another year. Ziegler's there. Now Brady is going to be a minority owner. I don't think that's official yet, but it's in the works. Brady's a McDaniels guy. So you're probably going to see another year, even though it makes no sense, of Josh McDaniels. But you get a gift, an absolute gift, where they go for it, 4th and 1 at the Chargers' own 34-yard line. You're only down by 7 in the game, and you should have got a touchdown. And I think it was on 4th down and 10 the play before. You get the first down, tumbling, as Kevin Kugler would say, down to the 3. And the first play by Josh McDaniels, we go from Staley, who's just a dope, to McDaniels, who's also a dope. And we go to the 3-yard line. You have Josh Jacobs, who I don't understand why all of a sudden Josh McDaniels just hates Josh Jacobs. And you don't hand the ball off to the guy that led the league in rushing last year? Your thoughts there?
Makes no sense. The whole season so far, they have not figured out how to use Josh Jacobs, which is crazy because they relied on him so much last year and used him so much, and he got so many yards. And now they're at the one. This is like the 3rd or 4th time this year that they're at near the end zone or have a short yardage play, and they don't give it to Jacobs. I just don't understand it.
And I hate to say it, but you know what this feels like? Because McDaniels comes from the Belichick school. And once you get in the doghouse of Bill Belichick, it's very tough to get out of it. Here's why all of the Belichick disciples have failed, because they all think they're Bill and they all try to do things like Bill, but they don't have the resume. They don't have the clout like Bill Belichick. And now it's a different world that we live in. And also, sports have become more player-friendly, which there's some good in that, and there's also some bad in that. But it's almost as if Josh McDaniels, and I hope this isn't the case, but this is just the way that I feel. It's almost as if Josh McDaniels is using the contract situation against Josh Jacobs, and they're trying to send a point where McDaniels doesn't really value the individual running back, the bell cow back, because in New England, it was running back by committee. They just turned in 2-3 backs each and every year, and they kept on winning. But just like Belichick isn't able to win right now without Tom Brady, McDaniels also has to realize you don't have Tom Brady. And when you're starting a rookie quarterback and you have Aiden O'Connell and you're down to the 3-yard line and you have a bell cow back, which is a dying breed in Josh Jacobs, you got to give him the ball. And McDaniels should know this better than anybody because he coached in a Super Bowl where Darrell Bevell and Pete Carroll said, it's 2nd and goal right at the 1. Yeah, we're going to bypass Marshawn Lynch and we're going to throw the ball with Russell Wilson. It's maddening and infuriating, and I'd be sick to my stomach if I was you.
And to your point, he's done the same thing, too, with Hunter Renfrow this year, too, through the first 3 games.
I don't think Hunter Renfro's great, but he's solid. He's good. Renfrow has been in the dog. I wanted to put his face on a milk carton. I haven't even seen Hunter Renfrow.
Through 3 games, I believe they threw to him 3 times, and they threw to him a couple times yesterday, so they actually started using him a little bit. But, yeah, not to use the guys that are kind of like the playmakers on a team, it's very strange.
And the other coaching decision I didn't like yesterday was Ron Rivera. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Ron Rivera. The last year, though, Ron Rivera has done some things when talking to the media that just doesn't make sense, like the whole Carson Wentz situation right before the start of the year, the way that he gave too much when talking about Eric Bieniemy, who's looked like a fantastic offensive coordinator once again. If he doesn't get a head coaching job out of this year, with what he's been able to do so far with the Commanders away from Mahomes, that just continues to be mystifying to me. But you're in a game against a better team. And I know the Commanders beat the Eagles once last year. But with how back and forth that game is, and I'm not always someone that says if you go win the game on one play, you have to always go for it. Like, look what I just said the last 5 minutes about Brandon Staley. But for Ron Rivera, when you're on the road in Philadelphia and you know Philadelphia is the more talented team and you score a touchdown as the clock expired, where I thought they were gifted a second or two. I was surprised that they were able to get another playoff. But Jahan Dotson catches that football. I thought for sure when I was watching the game in the airport yesterday that no doubt about it, Rivera's going to go for 2. And maybe that's just being an older coach And if you were a younger coach, you would have been more aggressive and you would have gone for it. But with how much better the Eagles are than you, and I know he said afterwards, our offense was gassed, our offense was tired. That's kind of a tough sell for me. And maybe you just didn't have a great feel on your team in that spot. I would love to hear from maybe some of the players more after the game. Did they feel like they were tired? Because I don't think players would admit that, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe some players did. But I thought they should have gone for it right there and go win the game. And then the game gets into overtime, and you have the 54-yard game-winning kick by Jake Elliott. So those were really three coaches that I didn't like yesterday. Ron Rivera, I thought, should have gone for it when he could have won the game and go for two. Brandon Staley continues to be the luckiest coach in the world because he should have lost these last two games. And Josh McDaniels, keep it simple, stupid. It is that simple. You don't have your quarter. I'm not even saying Jimmy G is this great quarterback. I think Jimmy G is overrated. But you don't have your quarterback. You have other great playmakers, and you take the ball out of the hands of Josh Jacobs there at the 3-yard line, and you go, yeah, I'm going to trust Aiden O'Connell, and you bailed out Brandon Staley.